welcome to another episode of Larry's Rants, Raves, and Reviews! Now, it's the moment that you have all been waiting for. Here comes the man, the myth, the legend, my papa! Here's Larry!
Folks, I've given you 5 solid reasons why the Republicans, I believe, want to lose the midterms. But number 6 is possibly the biggest. Now, I've said from the beginning that my reasons were not prioritized, but if I had, this would probably have been number 1. But before I jump right into that, let me say this. I've noticed over my lifetime, I've noticed something. We all know that a lot of people have a fear of failure, and that holds them back. That throttles people back in life, the fear of failure. Often people have an idea or a dream, but they fear to try to do it because of the fear of failure. No one wants to feel like a failure. No one wants to be a failure. But I would remind you that failure is not permanent. It's just temporary. But that's something else. In another business that I owned, I had an employee one time tell me that he had always wanted to have a business just like I had. I asked then, why haven't you started it? And he replied, because I could never get myself to take the risk. I was afraid I couldn't do it, and I was afraid of going broke. Well, I've got to be honest with you. I understand that, and I realize that's the difference between entrepreneurs and the people that will work for them. I recognize and understand every one of us are just simply wired differently. Some people are willing to take the bigger risk and others aren't. So I get it. Everybody's got their own personality and their own makeup. But here's something that I truly believe. While some have a fear of failure, here's what a lot of people don't recognize. Other people have a fear of success. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but I've seen it all my life. Some people hold themselves back. They throttle themselves back because they are afraid of success. You say, Larry, that just sounds kind of crazy to me. Well, why? Why do they hold themselves back because they're afraid of success? Because with success brings responsibility. And responsibility scares a lot of people far more than failure. A big problem with our society today is people don't want nor take responsibility for their own actions and decisions. We see it every day. But you see, with success, continually you have to grow, build, and create change in order to maintain success. Something that I would tell you is that you can grow to a certain level of success, but if you don't keep continually growing and building and creating more change, you're going to become stagnant and die. Responsibility can be overwhelming sometimes. Before I pay my staff as a business owner, or before I get paid, I have to pay my staff. I must take care of money management within the company so that the company stays financially healthy. And I could go on more in depth of the responsibility of a leader, but I think that's another topic for another episode, okay? We'll put that one on the back burner. But what I can say is that responsibility is a huge item in life, but our society has trained many people that they don't have to take ownership of it. You can always place the blame on others. And our society has been good to train people to do that. In fact, it's way too often. People don't want to take responsibility for something. They just want to blame it on someone or something else. So here's my reason number 6. Number 6 is, get this because I think it's one of the biggest. This is one of the biggest reasons why I think the Republican Party wants to lose in the midterms. Number 6 is, losing the midterms takes the pressure off the Republicans so they can remain corrupt and blame the Democrats. You see, here's what I can tell you. Losing frees them from all responsibilities. And that's exactly what they want. They want to be able to hide behind the Democrats and the rogue judges that are fighting Trump and continue in their status quo. They want to continue in their elite lifestyles and take no responsibility for their failures. They want to hide their corruption. I'm smart enough to realize, and I think many of my listeners are, we are smart enough to recognize there is a coup against President Trump, and that coup is being led by the Republican Party. And here's what I think. The midterm loss is their out. It's their out. They can stand back if they lose the midterms and say, oh, poor little me, we lost. Oh, the Democrats are such bullies. They're so evil. And they can point the finger and they can continue to hide behind the Democrats. You see, I have to tell you, we the people want change. The Republican Party, or at least all the rhinos that have taken it over, they care nothing about change. They want to continue status quo. I believe that the Republicans want to lose the midterms. They want to get Trump impeached due to their hatred for Trump and MAGA. They want things to settle down and return back to the old corrupt way of doing things in Washington in secret. So let me repeat number 6 just one more time. Losing the midterms takes the pressure off the Republicans so they can remain corrupt and blame the Democrats. Again, losing frees them from all responsibility. Losing lets them go back into hiding. But I know this. We have to find some MAGA candidates. And I'm not talking about Republican candidates. I'm talking about MAGA candidates and replace these corrupted people and get them out of office. Which leads me to point number 7. Point number 7 is that rhinos are plentiful and the swamp is deep, and they want Trump and the MAGA movement to be over. Trust me, the Republicans want Trump and MAGA to be a thing in the rearview mirror and a part of history. They do not like what we stand for and what we want. They do not want the America that we want. The Republican Party wants Trump to be done. They want MAGA to be over, and they are allowing the opportunity to save America to come to a screeching halt by not supporting the president at all. I don't know how you would think for a moment that the Republicans want and are supporting President Trump. All I see them do is fight with the man. The Republican Party is against Trump and against America. The proof is in their actions. The rhinos are powerful and they're corrupt, and the proof is in their actions. A thought just occurred to me. I had a pastor years ago that he told me, he said, Larry, if someone says they love you, but they never show you, I think they're a liar. Wow. That was a big revelation for me. It's easy to say, oh yeah, we like this. Oh yeah, we like that. It's easy for someone to say, I love you, but yet they never show it. You know, if you love someone, your spouse, do you give them a birthday gift, a birthday party? Do you give them a Mother's Day gift if that's appropriate, if they're a mother? Do you lavish them with Christmas gifts? Do you do things for them to not only say that you love them, but you're showing that you love them? You see, a lot of the rhinos are standing back and they're playing the game of liking President Trump and MAGA and wanting to make America great again. But it seems to me like it's just a smokescreen. It's just a farce because they never show any action. Never in my wildest dreams or in my big imagination, and trust me, I've got one, never did I think that we would have a GOP Senate leader who blocks secure election laws. DC politicians don't want to give the American people the SAVE Act. They just voted to throw an additional $9 billion towards the people of Ukraine. Now let that sink in for a moment. Think about that for a while. They won't give us the SAVE Act to have good elections, but they'll throw $9 billion, that's billion with a B, ladies and gentlemen, of your money, my money, taxpayers, we the people's money to someone else, but yet they will not take the time to secure our elections. One reason that Thune refuses to end the filibuster is because it would make Trump's presidency so powerful and popular and so long-lasting. MAGA would be locked in for decades, and I'm telling you, Thune does not want that. If that would happen, the McConnell globalist would lose all their power, and the elitist must maintain their power and their control and their wealth. One more time, I'm going to bash John Thune. It's been a theme throughout this whole thing, and every bit of it's been warranted. If you disagree with me, send me an email about it. But if you agree with me, hey, send me an email about that too. John Thune has become the greatest roadblock to making America great again. And he's leading the rhinos, the Republican Party, in the fight. Larry, why do you say that? Well, we have no Trump judges. We have no voter ID SAVE Act. And according to things that I'm reading, there's been 50 bills, 50 bills that have passed the House that Thune has allowed to fall into limbo, and he's not even touching them. Now, at this point in this episode, my original thoughts and notes were that I was going to come in here and I was going to really start ranting and I was going to talk about what a horrible job Pam Bondi was doing. I was going to cry for her to be fired, but thank God President Trump fired her already. I'll remind you, after 421 days of doing virtually nothing, Pam Bondi was fired. She did nothing but promise the moon, and yet we never left the ground. I mean, you tell me, what did Pam Bondi do while she was in office? Where's the prosecutions? There's so much corruption and so much proof, and yet she never prosecuted and did one thing. We, the people, are demanding results, not just words without action. Now, let me back up here and say this. The reason the Senate blocked Matt Gaetz for that office and then quickly passed Pam Bondi is because they knew they were safe with her. You see, had they put Matt Gaetz in that office, their corruption would have been exposed with charges and prosecution with jail time as the results. And even now, we're learning that Pam Bondi was reportedly leading a rhino coup against President Trump from inside. It's reported that she was working closely with the Bush family and the disgusting, and when I use that word, I mean it full force, the disgusting former Vice President Mike Pence. He's disgusting. He's evil. Oh, we were sold a bill of goods. He was a wonderful Christian man. He was a great Republican. He was a great conservative. Well, we learned differently, didn't we, folks? He's a traitor. He sabotaged President Trump from day one as his vice president, and he's still working against him from behind the scenes. You see, Pam Bondi worked with them to launch and orchestrate an effort to destroy President Trump and retake the Republican Party because they hate Trump and they hate MAGA. In one article that I read, it's reported that Bondi was also conspiring, I can't say that word, with her longtime friend and former Florida Governor Jeb Bush, as well as Mike Pence, and dozens of others entrenched rhinos from the old guard of the Republican Party to sabotage President Trump's second administration. This is why, listen to me, this is why she intentionally mishandled the Epstein files and refused to prosecute anyone from the deep state. You see, Bondi was working for the deep state. Rumors has it that she even was tied to George Soros. And you know, he's like Satan's brother. He hates America and spends millions of dollars trying to destroy it by buying different officials and elections. I'm going to make this statement, and I think it's a big one, but I'm going to live up to it. Pam Bondi should go down in history as the Mike Pence of the second Trump administration. I think they're apples to apples. But here's what I'll say, at least 80 plus million MAGA patriots are finally happy and celebrating because, Pam, you are fired. You see, we've talked about activist judges have been put in place by Hussein and Otto Penn during Hussein's third term, and they're fighting MAGA agenda every turn. But here's what I'm also afraid of. I'm afraid that Trump and America are being sabotaged from almost every office in our government. The corruption runs so deep and it's so horrendous. I don't even think that we can comprehend how bad our government is corrupted and how horrible it truly is. MAGA, not Republicans, but the MAGA movement gave the party total control, and yet they refuse to use it. MAGA gave the presidency, the Senate, and the House the majority to fix the elections, terminate the filibuster, pass voter ID nationwide, end mail-in voting, secure and stop the cheating in our elections, but they refuse. And they refuse to make the cuts that DOJ pointed out because they like the kickbacks. Have you ever thought for a second, Elon Musk, one of the wealthiest men in America, took a year out of his life and free of charge worked in DOJ and uncovered all this corruption, only for people like Pam Bondi, the Senate, and the House to do absolutely nothing. They won't defund or impeach the rogue, corrupt judges that Hussein and Otto Penn put in place. They won't kill the filibuster. And without that happening, nothing big happens. And folks, I'm just going to tell you, we the people, we're screwed for years, possibly forever. You see, Senate Republicans are dragging their feet on nuking the filibuster because they are part of the problem. They're certainly not part of the solution. Why? Because of their own corruption. Folks, we can point to the Democrats all day long and never run out of corruption to point out. But I'm telling you here, you can do about the same for a lot of the Republicans. Corruption is everywhere. The Republicans are part of the problem, not the solution. You've got staffers in key spots that are crooked and corrupt. They're in bed, literally and figuratively, with lobbyists that want to kill every good piece of legislation that we try to put in place. They tie legislation up in committees and say they are going to study it for sometimes even years. Many times it just magically disappears. Many times they are simply undermining Trump because they hate him. These committees are extremely large and they're extremely powerful. Some of them have 40, 50, 60 staffers on just the Republican side. Folks, the corruption of our government runs so deep and so horrible, it's astonishing. It's mind-blowing. Lobbyists buys these staffers and these legislatures with riches to get their way and screw we the people all the time, every day. It's happening in Washington. And I'd love to say the Republicans are better than the Democrats. But about the only difference is the Democrats are driven by their Marxist, communist agenda, wanting to destroy the America that we know and have always known and love, and they want to rebuild it and make it into a different country completely. You see, the Republicans are driven by greed, and they're sneaky. Democrats are just in your face, and they're driven by hate. Democrats are at least open with their hatred for America and wanting to change us into a communist party. However, Republicans sneak and hide behind the false narrative of patriotism, driven only by their hidden agenda for power and wealth. You see, we keep screaming for change. However, our elected officials no longer care. Now listen to me closely. They no longer care about our voice, and they don't fear us, we the people. They don't even fear when we say, we're going to primary you out. Because the system is so rigged in favor of them being a career politician. Oh yeah, I'll give you this. There's been a few with President Trump's help that got primaried out. Thank God. Thank God we booted out some of these rhinos. But folks, there's not enough. But I will tell you this, there's about 78 to 80 million or plus MAGA Trump supporters, and we're watching. The Republicans want Trump. Listen to me. The Republicans want Trump to be a lame duck president for his last 2 years. I believe that wholeheartedly. They're afraid of President Trump. They're afraid of his agenda. They're afraid of what he will accomplish. That's why the Republican Party is sabotaging him and doing what they're doing, because they don't want that success. They're afraid of that success, because with that success, their corruption will come to light, and they could be the ones to end up in jail. Well, folks, this is my first 7 reasons why I believe the Republicans want to lose the midterms. Number 1, winning threatens the very system they all benefit from, dark money theft. 2 is Republicans hate Trump and his America First agenda. 3, everything Trump has accomplished has been by executive order. And as I said in a previous podcast, with that, a liberal president can come in and with one stroke of the pen undo all of his accomplishments. Number 4, Republicans are not on Trump's side, including Thune, and I'll step out and say even Johnson. I think Johnson might be a little bit better than Thune, but Thune, he's totally crooked. Does not need to be in the Republican Party at all, particularly the leader of the Senate. Number 5 is that rhinos and Democrats, they're on the same team. You can't hardly tell them apart. Number 6, losing the midterms takes the pressure off the Republicans so they can remain corrupt and blame the Democrats. And then number 7 that we just covered, rhinos are plentiful and the swamp is deep. They want Trump and the MAGA movement to be completely over. So here's what I want to ask you to do. Join me next episode, and I'm going to cover number 8 and 9 and wrap this mini-series up. I think you'll like what I have to say on 8 and 9. I appreciate you watching these. Those of you that have watched all of them, I hope it's been beneficial. I hope it's opened up your eyes. I hope it's opened up some ways of thinking and thinking for yourself. So I'll ask you to join me next episode of why the Republicans want to lose in the midterms. Send this to someone, hit the forward button, send it to your family and friends, hit the like button, whatever podcast platform or video channel you're on, leave me a comment, send me an email. I'd love to hear from you. I'm working hard on this little mini series, and I'm trying my best to give you some real wisdom and knowledge that I've tried to sweep together. Folks, I hope that you will have a great day.